What do you think they're doing there? They're not looking at, what the latest things are that you can buy on Amazon, or what discounts you can get on some American website. They're spying on Americans. They're spying on our country.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And then there was another story over the weekend that I posted that the Missouri Attorney General is investigating a possible CCP outpost in the state of Missouri.
In Missouri.
And then, of course, there was the police outpost in New York City. And then there was this alert from the Biden administration warning people, don't go to China because they violate your rights. You don't have due process. They'll just pick you up off the street and use you as leverage. And so I'm seeing all of these stories and going, okay, so even the Biden administration is warning us about China on this one level, but then on another level, they're looking the other way when there's national security concerns about this Chinese plant potentially coming into Michigan. And when I think about the Goshen story in particular, I think to myself, so we are on the precipice of selling 1 square mile to a CCP-linked company. 1 square mile in the middle of Michigan, which is in the middle of America and in the middle of North America. And if this was an Iranian company or a Russian company or a North Korean company, would we be tolerating this? Why do we have this double standard with China?
It's interesting. Speaking of double standards, yesterday we covered the story. We spoke with Cindy Amante from the folks of Propósito in Michigan here. These are the folks, a group of Hispanic individuals and organizers who got together to fight back the recall that's happening. They're attempting of an Ottawa County commissioner. I thought she had a lot of valid points to make yesterday, and she said, this would take the voice away from many of the Hispanic folks here in Ottawa County, and there are many in this area, particularly in Holland. And she said, this is the only sitting Hispanic individual on the county commissioner. She just happens to be a Republican, happens to be a part of Ottawa Impact, and now Democrats are targeting her. Well, they say it's nonpartisan, but it is the Democrat treasurer who is targeting her. And Kyle, we have learned more about this individual, this Democrat treasurer who's targeting her. Turns out, not really a great guy. There's a flashback right now at the Midwesterner.news on this story. Goes back to 2022 when this individual ran for Michigan's 86th House District. He's got a shady past, Kyle.
Yeah, that's right. He has a number of anti-Hispanic posts on social media. Lots of other, questionable things. He's got some
Wait a minute.
Criminal thing.
The Party of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion? You mean the treasurer there? This guy ought to step down. It's a joke. They're talking about how they're so inclusive, they're so tolerant, they're all of these wonderful things, and yet he's made anti-Hispanic posts.
That's right. And so last year, as the story says, he ran in the 86th House District. Lost, but when this information came out, the Democratic leaders in the State House in Lansing said, we don't have anything to do with him. We're not supporting him. This is terrible. So they were distancing themselves from him at that time. But now that he's doing this recall, are they going to support this recall, or are they going to come out against the recall? Because it just seems to me that he may try to say, well, this isn't partisan or anything like that. When you're the treasurer of the Ottawa County Democrats and you file a recall against a sitting county commissioner, what else is that?
It's one of these stories that how they cover these things, they will not give you all of the information. That's why it's important to plug into shows like this, and of course, blogs and folks like Kyle with the Midwesterner, the Midwesterner.news, to get the information that you're just not going to hear anywhere else. Because by the way, the story that we're referencing right now is from the Holland Sentinel from 2022. And if they could memory hold this thing, they would probably do it. As much as the Sentinel hates some of the things that are happening in Ottawa County right now. One other thing, and it's a piece of good news before we get out of here and wrap with you. But another court has slapped down Whitmer and particularly her health department in the unconstitutional things they were doing during the pandemic. And we talked with Ian from the Iron Pig earlier this week about this, but this is a huge win for freedom and for folks in Michigan, particularly restaurant owners who they killed. I think it was like 300,000 jobs was everything that the Wolverine Queen did during that time.
That's right. And it's vindication for people like Ian and Marlena and others who were saying what you were doing is illegal and unconstitutional, and simply transferring the authority, the power, the authority to make these rules from the executive, Whitmer herself, to her agencies was still illegal. And so an appeals court came out and said that she didn't have the authority to transfer that power and to make these just sort of arbitrary rules in restaurants. And what I think is so interesting about this story is I went back and I found that story that said that her rules, illegal, now unconstitutional rules officially, cost 300,000 restaurant jobs during the pandemic.
Wow.
And here she is now trying to spend over $1 billion on Goshen alone to create supposedly 2,300 jobs. And so here, if she would have just operated within the law and within the Constitution, we could have kept 300,000, but instead she's now trying to spend $1 billion to create 2,300. But this is
Right,
I
China,
think this
right
is
here, right in the middle of the state. Yeah, treason, folks would say. This is a great example of it. By the way, all these stories you can find online, themidwesterner.news. Kyle Olson, the founder, thank you for taking us through some of them. We'll talk to you soon and stay up to date. We don't have time to get through everything that's going on in the world, but thank you for taking us through some of it.
Happy to. Thank you.
You got it. Keep up the fight. God bless. The fight for the truth, folks.